Good evening. Did you have a chance to see this out there in the lobby? You want to stop by this table on the way. This is Women of Worth in Utah, a real effort to assist women. Just before we get started, I spend a lot of time coaching. I have about 7 to 9 clients a day. I just love to do that. And it's interesting if I were to tell you the percentage of those clients who are powerful women who are not in powerful environments. It's very interesting to find out how many women, around the age of 50 to 55, it's interesting, when they either wake up and say, wow, this isn't what I planned for, or hubby's traded them in for a younger model, or whatever it might be, and now they have the responsibility of establishing their own life. This is an amazing thing to witness. A woman who takes control of her life and her thoughts and creates something magnificent with her life. Now, John, you said you traded up for this, sweetheart, right?
Yes, I did.
That's right. So thank you. Make sure you get this notice for the Monte Carlo night and come and participate and help them raise money, because every dollar is going to help women who are in need. So let's make sure we do that. Second of all, up here at the top, would you stand up, sweetheart? This is my sweetheart, Ramona. Ramona is the mother of our 7 children, who are all married, and we have 23 grandchildren. We're in our 38th year of marriage. And I can tell you, we're going to be talking tonight about some of the principles that help us intentionally create a lasting relationship. So we'll have an opportunity to explore that tonight, so you can take some of those principles home. If you're in a relationship, to strengthen it. If you're not in one, would like to be in one, how you might approach that. Lastly, I'd like to thank Chantel. I remember when she called the first time and said, we need to do something like this. I just feel it in my bones. And it has not been easy to get everyone scheduled on the same date. It has been a Herculean task to get us all here. We're traveling all over the country. I think Chad's probably the craziest of all of us. I've traveled with Chad. Now Chad gives about 300 speeches a year, travels about 500,000 miles. He flies so many miles they let him park his car down with the pilots in the bottom of the airport. We were in Iowa speaking to a project management convention, and he missed his plane. We got to spend an evening together, and I got to fly home with him the next day. And, you know, you got to fly a gazillion miles these days to get an upgrade, or fly with Chad. You know, when they say first class is full, and the next thing you hear is we're offering free tickets to somebody who would like to wait for the next flight because they're bumping someone off of first class to put me next to him. That was very interesting. This I can tell you. You are in for an amazing treat tonight. To hear from Jeff. Jeff, you're in the room. I saw you just a moment ago. There you are. Incredible courage. To hear from Chad and see what it's like to live life at that level. And if you're like me, Chad doesn't know this. Well, he may, because I wrote it in the book. I remember dropping him off at, not dropping him, but letting him go down the elevator, right? There at the airport. I sat down and I wept. I was exhausted from watching him live life. It was such an honor. I had been with him under some very trying circumstances, health-wise, for a couple of days, and I never heard anything negative. It was always such graciousness, such kindness. And I thought, wow, whenever I'm having one of those moments, I'll just remember Chad, because I find him to be one of the most inspiring mentors I have in my life. So we're going to be really blessed to hear from Jeff and Chad tonight. I hope that I can add something of value this evening that'll bless your lives. Now, I saw many of you with notepads. If you've got one and you got a pen, we are going to roll up our sleeves tonight and go to work. I'm not here just to get you all excited about life, then have you go back home and Monday the same stuff happens. This is about change. If you don't like where things are right now, and you'd like circumstances to be different, we must change us, right? And that's going to begin with our own thought processes. So let's go to work. I want to take you back to a time. It was 1988. Ramona and I were enjoying an amazing life. We lived at 4955 Alzada Drive. You can go there right now in La Mesa. It's a beautiful home with a porte-cochere, circle drive, tennis court, swimming pool. And out front was parked a 40-foot Bluebird custom motorhome. Garage was full of exotic cars. It was a wonderful life. Full-time housekeeper, full-time gardener. Great, huh? But the economy was changing. I was developing real estate, large apartment complexes. And for about the previous year, it was like everything was going through my fingers like water. I couldn't stop it. And by 1989, we had lost basically all of our assets, except for what we could load in 2 Ryder trucks. And we had $1 million of debt on our back. Does anybody feel that way? I'm not sharing this to go, wow, mine was worse than yours. That's not the purpose of this. It's all relative, because everything's everything, isn't it? Everything's everything. And as I've been lying in bed late at night and early in the morning thinking about this very moment in time, I felt very inspired to go to a very specific place with you. Because I know in the darkest of those dark nights, and there were some dark nights, we got to a point in that process where it seemed like the only solution was my life insurance policy. That was it. 7 kids, $1 million. I'm paying $50 to each one of these creditors. One's $365,000. One of them is $57,000. I mean, $50. How long is this going to take? I'm not going to live this long. But the life insurance policy would solve all of that. And I got to that point. I talk about this occasionally, but not often, because it's a little painful. But I am finding that more and more people are at least in that kind of a dark night. That's the truth of it. We all look great, but when I spend time in people's lives and find out what's really going on with their relationships and their finances, it is not what they planned. This is not the way it was supposed to turn out. And we can think about some really crazy things when that occurs. Now, the fact that I spent a few nights writing the note to try to figure this out and got really close, closer than I want to discuss in detail, I just know when the sun came up the next morning, I wasn't relieved, I was angry. And this is what I said. I long to cry to the God of my youth. But the God of my youth will not hear my cry. I must change my God or change my cry. I hope that doesn't offend anyone. But that's where I was. It's like, okay, I surrender. Teach me what's really going on. And from that moment to this, that's exactly what's happened. Was it my God that needed to change? No. It was my cry. Intentional creation, a great relationship, a loving relationship, a successful business, even a successful employee within a business. Those things are intentionally created. In other words, whether we're intending it or not, it's being created. What is being created? When we understand creation, we understand that it's a 2-stage process. And both are equally important, and they're interrelated. The first is mental creation, and then there is physical creation. 2 of them. When we look at mental creation, it requires vivid visualization. Vivid visualization, a clear vision of where we're headed. So I want you to understand before we begin this process tonight, I'm not against vivid visualization. I'm the greatest proponent of it. But it has to be used very specific for it to be a creation process and not a destructive process. So my mission tonight is to teach you the difference between those two. Would that be okay? So that's really clear to us. So if we've been using it improperly, we can make the shift. It's like, oh, that's why. That's why I want to create tonight. I want to have somebody go, that's why. Okay. Now I can start doing it the other way. Because there are a lot of pundits in the marketplace who want you to believe that there is a fantasy fairy that will magically manifest your wishes if you'll just visualize them with enough intention. In the book, Today I Begin a New Life, I tell the story of a father who went to one of those seminars. He put together a dream board, which I happen to believe in, when it's a destination. I mean a target and not a destination, when this is where we're headed and not a place where I spend my day. But he was spending his day. He was in his easy chair looking at the Ferrari. And he was envisioning himself driving this Ferrari around these mountain roads, and his son walks in. And his son says, "What are you doing, Dad?" He says, "I'm visualizing a Ferrari." Well, what does the son do? "Are we getting one?" "Yes, son, if I could just give me enough time to get my intentions in order, to really think about this." Son kind of looks out in the garage. The only thing out there is a rusting Ford Taurus with a Dole for President sticker on the bumper. Okay? And the father says, "Well, come here. Let me show you how to do this." So the father engages the son. "Close your eyes. What do you see?" They come to a conclusion. It's red. It's a rag top. It's got a brown interior. Everybody got it? They take it for a spin around the neighborhood. "I don't have a license," the son says. "You don't need one." "Oh, this is cool." So the son's driving the Ferrari around the neighborhood, gets to see the cute girls. "Isn't this great?" Comes back and says, "You sure this works, Dad?" He's a little incredulous. And his father says, "Absolutely." Well, a couple hours later, his father's walking by the window and notices the lawnmower out in the front grass, and there's about 2 swipes. The lawnmower's just sitting there in the tall grass. That's the son's only assignment on Saturdays, to mow the lawn. Where in the Sam blankety blank is my son? Checks on his wife, checks with his daughter, can't find him. Finally finds him in his bedroom, and guess what he's doing? Sitting in his computer chair, visualizing. "What are you visualizing, son?" "The lawn being mowed." Now we know that visualization is not going to mow a lawn, so why do we think it's going to produce a Ferrari? Or, as a popular DVD would want you to believe, a Lamborghini. Enough said about that DVD. Because what we've measured is that 98% of the people in this room have a very vivid visualization, a capacity to visualize at a very high level. Your mind is somewhere else. It may not be disciplined yet, but it's somewhere else. And the tendency is to want to escape into the future to a time when the problems have been solved. We're going to spend some time on this tonight. But vivid visualization is critical to creation. And I'll do my very best to share with you how. What are our secret desires? Our real intentions. Our why. I'll tell you where you can find it. It's not in our mission statements. Those are sometimes interesting. Or our vision statements. The real why is found when you are by yourself in that place where your mind goes free. Now, where does it go? Where does it go? If we can get clear about where it goes, then you'll know what your secret why is. What is it really? Ready? Is it seeking ease? Would it like life just to be easier? Wouldn't that be great? That's what we say, right? And so when we get by ourselves, often that's where our mind goes. We want life more comfortable. No more stress, no more frustration, no more pain. Or I walk over here. Do we want to engage in life? Embrace the principles of creation. Connect and serve others. Create value everywhere we go with everyone we meet. and contribute to the world. Can you feel the difference between those two? Ease, comfort, no more stress, no more pain, no more frustration, no more debt. Wow. Versus this. Let's keep moving. Escape or create. This is a night of honesty for us. This is not an indictment. Just after coaching with 3,500 people and doing 4,800 assessment debriefs, using a mathematical science where I can measure exactly how you think. Not what you think, but how you think. The thoughts that are really driving your life. I've discovered that it's a little scary how many of us really do want to escape. And if that has been our why, that is why it's not working. Escape or create, avoid or embrace, ease or a life of significance. Significance. We mattered. When we leave the planet, we mattered. We did something. We left a footprint on this planet. Can you feel the difference between that and I just want it easy? I just want it more comfortable. I don't want more stress or pain. Now, I must tell you, I could lose you really quickly tonight. I could. Please don't be offended by how I look or what I'm saying. Glean this and let it into your heart just a little bit. Because on that night when I said I longed to cry to the God of my youth, I got to pay a really interesting price. Because 10 years later, the $1 million was paid back. The estate was reestablished. I was given the opportunity to become the CEO of the Og Mandino Group and bring these principles to the world. I also made the promise that night that if I could be shown how to do this, I would spend the rest of my life sharing it with others. That's my life's work for you to know. So please be with me, okay? That's my plea tonight. Now, one of the great risks with vivid visualization is fantasy. I'm going to define it for you. It's a very simple concept. I'm standing in the present, okay? I skip to a time in the future when something has happened. Could be a better job, all my debts are paid off, my ship has come in, I've won the lottery, I built this huge business, whatever it might be. I come right to here. That's not a bad thing. That would be a vision, a dream. But the dream turns into fantasy when I move one step over here and start imagining what it will be like when that happens. What will happen when? What will happen when? Our research revealed something very interesting, which I'll share with you in more detail in a moment, is that when your thought processes are so vivid, when you go here, the same brain chemistry and brain circuitry occurs that would occur if you're actually here. They even have a name for it. The neuroscientists call it a mental construct. Anybody here in the construction business? Builders? You build something, a foundation, you build the walls, the top, you've constructed this idea. In addition to that, the sympathetic nervous system is releasing norepinephrine. Now, if that were a prescribed drug, it would be a controlled substance. It's very powerful. Very powerful. You feel so wonderful. We're over here, then I would pay off my parents' home. We could have tears streaming down our cheeks. We'd buy them a new Lexus, and we imagine driving up with the car and the big red ribbon, and them coming out and falling to their knees and weeping and hugging us and holding us and thanking us like they never have before. And then we pay off all the neighbors' houses, and then we pay off our siblings, and then because these are all guilt things, just so you know. It's just so we feel better and better about having the money. And after we solved all the world problems, now we can go get the car we want, and the house we want, and the vacations we want. All the time, our mind is having the same brain chemistry, brain circuitry, norepinephrine. Now, we don't have time tonight to go into too much detail, but this is called a systemic thought. It's a unique one. It processes dualistically, which means all or nothing. All, exactly this way or nothing. Life or death, black or white, right or wrong. This is a very dangerous thought process to play with. Because just as soon as reality shows up differently, and what's the possibility that it will? What's the possibility? 100%. The body, thinking that it's protecting us, goes into an autonomic response. Autonomic means more than automatic. It's something you cannot control. That same sympathetic nervous system was releasing norepinephrine, now releases cortisol. Ever get one of those? Yeah, there you go. Get that anxious feeling? Well, it's releasing that for a reason. It thinks you're being attacked. And it wants to be able to help you heal the wounds and give you energy. And the cortisol starts consuming the cells of your body. Communicates truly energy exchange when it connects to a cell. There's a lot of those receptors in this area and in our shoulders. That's why we feel it there. Now, let's make it even more complicated. Right at the top of your brain stem is a little almond-shaped thing called an amygdala. Flight or fight center. You've heard of that, right? You flee or you fight. That gets activated. And it sends out this little army. They call them fear dendrites. Can you imagine them all marching? They're going up here to your prefrontal cortex. Right here is your empathy, your practical judgment. And it starts giving you the brownout. It's centralizing all the energy in the fight or flight center so you can flee or fight. You're being attacked. We don't have energy for empathy so you can speak kindly to your wife. We don't have energy for practical judgment so you can make wise decisions. That's not this time. This time is flee or fight. And we are rendered emotionally paralyzed. When you're in one of those moments, if anybody's ever been there, don't raise your hand, but we all know. Don't the chuckles tell us all? Our hippocampus is also shut down, our memory center. You ever wondered why you just couldn't figure out what to do in that moment? Some of us in those moments have done some things that when those fear dendrites bleed off and the cortisol bleeds off and our empathy reawakens, we go, oh man, I got damage control. Some of the ugliest battles in marriages occur in those moments. Just know. Is fantasy a good thing? Oh no. But it's the number one natural default when you've got vivid visualization. We go to a time, and then we sneak out here just a little bit and we're in fantasy. Just know that when you go here, you'll get spanked. You will. By the baseball bat of life. It is inevitable. Now I'll share with you how to come here and then focus on creating the millimeters to get here and create reality. This can inspire you. If you're here for creation, this is what I want to create. This is what I want to have happen in my life. I'm so excited to go back here and do all the work necessary to get here. But if our why is to escape and avoid ease and comfort, I guarantee you we'll go here and we'll play in this little space right here. And this will kill you. Emotionally. And for some even more so. We go into that other space. It's called catastrophizing. We start playing out worst case scenarios. We went from sailing in the Caribbean, totally wealthy and not a problem in the world, till we are probably going to be thrown out of our house and be homeless by tomorrow. That's just what happens. Because as far as it could go that way, it can go this way. The greater your ability to do that, the greater your ability to be negative and destructive. Now I've got another one up here called counterfeit pleasure. Since we have some men here tonight, you brought your wives and women who are here, I want to be sensitive, but may I say this clearly so it's not misunderstood? Relationships are based on commitment and trust and intimacy. Absolute total commitment builds trust. And the expression of that is intimacy. Intimacy is not a sporting event. It's a glorious, beautiful expression of total commitment and trust, total surrender and beauty. It can be playful, but you can also weep in each other's arms. It's supposed to be like that. And if we use our mind to visit places that are pornographic, may I just say the word? I can promise you that it will be felt in your relationships. We do not escape the damage from going into that place. This is not a religious discussion. There's plenty of science to tell us what happens. Oh, men, women too, primarily men. Let us be careful where we go. Let us have our mind totally focused on our love. Totally, completely, 100% commitment. Emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually. That's what creates incredible relationships. If you're having struggles, examine that piece and see if you might go someplace that isn't very healthy. It's just not healthy. First Amendment rights aside, it's not healthy. Okay? Enough said. Destructive thoughts, when we engage in them, we end up in doubt and confusion, overwhelmed fear. If you're having those experiences, what you know is you've engaged your visualization over here, and you're just having the autonomic response. That's what it feels like. So if that's in your life, just know you've created an expectation for how you'd like your life to be. Instead of focusing on creating that, you're living in frustration that it hasn't happened. That's it. This isn't complicated. Matter of fact, it's just science. And I'm so glad we have the youth here with us. I'm so grateful. Because if you could learn these principles at your age, you could save yourself decades of pain. Decades. My greatest concern about the youth, they're in such a visual, virtual world with text messaging and video games that they might lose touch with reality and the actual physical creation of a dream. Hi, Julie. Hi. Good to see you. Our destructive thoughts. If our work that we're doing is boring, mundane, repetitious, burdensome, hard, you know that you've been using your vivid visualization destructively. That's the evidence. If, however, we're involved in constructive thought, which is done 5 ways. I'm going to share with you just a little bit about each one of them tonight. And if you want to, you bought the book, you have it, John? Sure. You have the book. The book has an entire section on these 5 ways of using your mind. To mentally rehearse, to seek inspiration, to explore, to problem solve and plan and goal set. That's what vivid visualization is designed to do. And when we use it that way, the power of creation, this is important. I put this slide in the last minute today. Wow, can you just bear with me for a moment? I got to go back over here. Sometimes we don't like this. We would rather be here and beyond, right? But we're skipping all the work of creation. We're skipping the stretching and the growing and the becoming all we can become. There is no power of creation in the universe. I call that God. You can have whatever name you'd like for it. It doesn't matter, because I can tell you how it works. It will never grant to you that which would rob you of the opportunity to stretch and grow and become all you're meant to be. When I said I long to cry to the God of my youth, but the God of my youth will not hear my cry, it's because I wanted to be rescued. And that power is saying, no, David, I want you to grow. I've got a mission for you. I want you to have a life of significance. Will it always be joyful in this process? No, sometimes it's going to be downright painful. Growth is sometimes painful. But when the growth occurs, it is always glorious and beautiful. It will never rob you of this opportunity. So don't spend any time at all asking the power in the universe to grant this. There are some who say, all you have to do is say, I'm worthy to receive, and the universe is stupid and it'll give it to you. First of all, it's not stupid. It loves you unconditionally. Unconditionally. And it would never rob you of that opportunity. So don't ask for it. Because you'll just end up being frustrated that it's not happening. And there are plenty of pundits who will support it. But I can tell you right now, their adherents are broken, and angry. That's the truth. I just knew there was an answer. And I spent $20,000 for coaching. I know 6 months later they're just going to be $20,000 poorer. And they often spend money they cannot afford to spend. Don't go there. It's a waste of money. When we think constructively, which means this, I want to grow. I want to create. I want to live a life of significance. What can I create? How could I create that? How would that serve? We will be shown this. This is very exciting. And when we are, if I had you wired to a functional MRI, guess what would happen? Part of your brain would light up that's normally dormant. That doesn't happen when we're escaping. It happens when we're seeking an inspired idea, an impression, and a solution to a challenge. When we're seeking that and we get it, everybody got this? You can't have a fantasy big enough to create this. It won't work. Your intentions, your real why, is to help us light up this part of our brain, and when this passion is ignited, it drives our focus, discipline, effort, and action to do whatever's required. We work without counting the cost or tracking the time. Whatever's required. Wow, I will fight through the mud. I'll fight through the rocks. I'll climb the mountains. I'll do whatever. I want that. That's what I want. I'll pay the price to get here because I've got the passion to drive it. I've got a story in the book about the last rewrite of the book. The book was going to the publisher on Monday, and I just got home from speaking. And I was mentally rehearsing. And I saw it 70 pages shorter than it was. And I trusted this. Sunday night, just got back from a long weekend. Went in the office and wrote till sunup. Coached all day. Wrote till sunup. Coached all day. Wrote till sunup. Had an hour and a half of sleep Wednesday morning and Thursday morning. It's amazing what you can do when you're passion-driven, when you've got the vision. I don't suggest living without sleep. I just know how far you can push this if this is your intention. If your intention is to change a life, to move somebody, to create something powerful, you'll get the inspired idea. They're giving me a 10-minute sign, so let's go to work. This is an assessment, and everybody can take one for free. Go to ogmandino.com and take one. And when you do, you can double-click on any measurement and find out what's happening in your thought processes. Left-hand side, external world, people, tasks, discipline. On the right-hand side, self-esteem, joy in the journey, and mental creation, which is your source of vivid visualization, your source of motivation, inspiration. I'll just tell you this person. Can you see this measurement, goal-oriented? Tremendous ability to vividly visualize. Life is not showing up that way. They are hating their life. They're running around like a chicken with their head cut off, and they are beating themselves up because this is what happens. We create an expectation. Life doesn't show up that way, and as human beings, we turn inward and say, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. We just need to learn how to use this more effectively. Now we're going to have some fun. I want everybody to pull out their tomahawk. That's your left hand. You've got it? Pull out your tomahawk. Use your left hand. You won't need to write while we're doing this. Left hand. Everybody ready? Now I'm going to turn my back to you so you can see. Up there is fantasy. Down there is catastrophe, that dark dungeon, despair, and discouragement. Can you see it over there? Got my tomahawk? You ready? Here we go. Repeat after me. Not going there today. I'm staying in creation. Now I equip my clients with tomahawks. I use it 75 times today. Oh, because the natural tendency is to want to escape or to go into this depression and discouragement. Not going there today. Can you feel it? Would you say it with me, that kind of energy? You ready? Not going there today. I'm staying in creation. Because 1 minute spent over there is going to impair you for hours. 10 minutes, 10 hours. By the time the body releases cortisol and fear dendrites to bleed off your system, it will take 10 hours. 10 minutes. You don't have a minute. Anybody here got hours and days they can waste trying to figure out how to create their dreams? I don't think we do anymore. We need to get busy creating, and we can't go over there to do it. We want to go over here. And over here is mental rehearsal. It's as vivid as visualization, vivid as fantasy, but instead of looking for a shortcut or an easier way, we're looking for direction, for a clear road. I'm going to have to turn you to the book. I brought plenty of them tonight for you. Peter Vidmar won a gold medal in 1984. I was in Deer Valley with Kevin Hall and getting ready to help him release his book. Peter was there, a lot of other wonderful people. And Peter told us for 12 years he prepared for the Olympics 5-6 hours a day, 6 days a week. Took off Sunday because that was his Sabbath. He remembered only 30 other days that he took off in that 12-year period. Can you imagine? And not once did he go one step beyond winning a gold medal. He never went to the Wheaties box, the limousine, the Learjets, the Endure. He never went there. He stayed between there and here. And every day they turned the practice arena into the Olympic venue. When he was in the Olympic venue, he turned it into the practice venue. And guess what? He won the gold medal. Peter's one of the youngest members of the Speakers Hall of Fame, as is Chad Hymas. Great guy, isn't he? Amazing human being. Great father. But not one step beyond gold medal, because nothing mattered if he didn't win. When's the last time you heard who won the bronze? Go back to 1984 and tell me who won the bronze. Who did? Doesn't matter. He wanted to win the gold because everything was contingent on this, whatever that might be for your life. There's a great story in the book about a client who was preparing for a meeting, a really ugly meeting. Anybody been to one of those meetings where you just, a couple days in advance, you got all the anxiety building up and you just feel like you're going to get your head handed to you in a hat basket, one of those things. She was in that space, and we mentally rehearsed the event. We went to the event in her mind and vividly lived it. Had her step into the worlds of each person, connect with each one of them, care about them. I had her visualize she saw a sack with 3 tomatoes. She was going to hand it to them. Here, if you don't like what I say, throw it at me. When she reported back, I said, what did you do with the tomatoes? She said, I went to the store, got the sack, bought the tomatoes, set them down by my chair. Did you use them? No. What happened to them? She said, I took them home and ate them. But just the visualization helped put her in the right mindset. The meeting went beautifully. And she said, oh, Dave, I can't even imagine how many times I've gone into a meeting like that, needing to be right, defending my position, and the whole thing was a mess. And this was peaceful with a great resolution. That's mental rehearsal. Inspiration, very simply. If there's anyone I can serve, put them on my path and I'll serve them. If you did just this one thing, you could tie up this vivid visualization. Not going there today, I'm not. I'm going to start thinking about someone who needs me Me in my unique experience, how could I serve you? Mine came in an inspiration one day, and Ramona knows this happens every day for us. Every day. I know at the end of the day who the person was. Somebody says, I'm surprised you talked to me. Well, I was supposed to. But I got this impression to talk to a friend I hadn't talked to for a year and a half. And I called him on the phone. I said, how you doing? And he said, I'm doing great. So I said, then why can't I get your name off my mind? Been there all day long. First chance I had to call early afternoon where I had enough time to have a conversation. Silence is the friend of a listener. Just waited. You can almost hear the locks, the tumbles, you know. The door opened. He said, do you really want to know? I said, I'm here to serve. Yes. And he told me a horrific story. It was suffocating. And I'd felt that suffocation back in 1988 and 89 when everything we had was loaded in those moving vans and we're going away from our dream house. I remember that suffocating feeling. And I know what I wanted to do. So it just floated to the surface. And you trust it. How seriously are you considering suicide? And he said, that's all I've been thinking about. Tearfully. We got him on an airplane. He came up the next day and we spent some time together. He came to our home. You want to know the power of vivid visualization? That was the night he was going to do it. That's not always that dramatic. But can you imagine the difference between that kind of vivid visualization? Who could I serve today? Name pops into your mind as vividly as a Ferrari. So instead of spending time with the Ferrari, you spend time, how can you serve? And everyone's fed. Everyone's fed. Listen for the whispers. And I wrote these words very specifically for you tonight. And take the assignment seriously. You see, when we're using our mind constructively to vividly visualize what can I create, how can I create it, how can I serve, we're in partnership with the power of creation. We have the same mission to bless the lives of others. Doors open, opportunities show up. It's amazing how it works. You see, abundance is not something we win. It's not something that we seek to receive. It's a sacred process in which we actively participate and eventually become. And this is how we become it. Now, I'll save these for the books. We can explore possibilities without making tangible commitments. We can problem solve. Oh, your minds won't stop thinking till it's fixed. Just ask your wife. Or maybe it's your husband. Or maybe it's a friend or a coworker. These systemic thoughts just turn and turn and turn because the world's on tilt till it's fixed. We can use this to our advantage by assigning our mind a problem to solve. Just give it one it can solve. You'll wake up in the middle of the night with a solution. It's brilliant. That's a whole lot better than spending time over there in discouragement. Nothing is gained from that. Everything could be from this. I'm going to move on. Planning and goal setting. I want to show you this picture. That's Ramona and me at age 85. I was looking for the picture. I found it. That's our vivid visualization. You know where we're sitting? We're sitting on the front porch overlooking the lake at Bear Lake at our cabin. And I'm looking her in the eyes. And I know I've been faithful to her in every way. What is today? The 29th of September? You can create anything from this day forward. Very few people in relationships have a plan they're executing.
Last weekend, Ramon and I were up at the cabin for our quarterly retreat. That's 2 days where we're doing planning and resting, and we're just together. There are activities that we do every day, every week, every month, every quarter, and every year. These 38 years have been intentionally created, and you can too. In your businesses, just one comment for the night. When you've figured out how much money you want to make, convert it to the number of lives you'll need to impact. Divide it by the number of months and weeks in the year, and then focus on impacting the lives. Because when the lives have been impacted, what happens to the income? It's there. It's a natural outcome. It's not the focus, it's the outcome. Well, it's time for us to become an intentional creator of our life. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and wrote till 8 o'clock in the morning for 4 years, driven by a desire to address those who have been saying to me, David, I can almost touch it, I can almost taste it. Why can't I have it? Because you want to learn how to use your vivid visualization constructively. Then you'll ignite ideas and impressions and solutions to challenges. It'll ignite your passion. You'll take the action, because nobody gets to skip the action. Nobody gets to skip the action. The work of creation is a requirement. It is either boring, mundane, repetitious, and burdensome because we're over there playing in the future, or it's vision, mission, and passion driven. The choice is ours, and it depends on how we use our mind. I'll share this with you tonight. You've got some great people here with wonderful books. You want to leave tonight with books to read. My book comes with a CD. Anybody know Og Mandino? Anybody studied Og Mandino? In the back is a CD of Og narrating the 10 scrolls from the greatest salesman in the world. We recorded that the year, I didn't record it, but it was recorded the year that he passed away, 1996. It's so great to have it. That's part of the book. I want you to have one of those tonight. They're $20. This was a moment, a mental rehearsal. I'm mentally rehearsing when I was first releasing the book. I said, how can I get this in the hands of people? I know people are in trouble. And the impression I got was, have people buy 10 copies of the book. It's $200. Now go give 9 of them away to someone who needs these principles. Now you get to work with me on helping bless lives, right? As a thank you, I invite you to attend a Tuesday night coaching call at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, where I will walk you through every chapter of the book. I'll tell you the backstories. I'll tell you how to apply and implement the principles in your life, the practices, processes. It's a coaching session. And it's off mute. In other words, you can comment. You can participate. It's free. It's a free coaching session. Now, when I got that impression, I said, what a dumb idea. And then I remembered where these things come from. This turned out to be a really fun idea, because there are a lot of people who can't afford a coach. You want to hire me for 6 months? It's $10,000. I'll be happy to engage your life and take it on, and it'll be worth every penny you spend, but most don't have that available. But they can do this. You want to go a little further? You can take the assessment, and I'll spend an hour to an hour and a half with you going through the measurements. Let's find out where you are. What thought processes are you having? They're all unique to you. Let's find out where you want to do your work. Then we will turn on your Intentional Creation Studio. It's an online learning center with 30 hours of downloadable material. And then you will join me for 52 weeks of group coaching that's done live on a video. I mean, you turn on your computer and you watch it. I teach you these principles. It takes about 10 weeks to get through them. There are 6 of them. Connection with people, using your mind constructively, being present in the now and passion-driven action, being disciplined and structured, enjoying the journey, and healing your self-esteem. That's what we do. We could go through that 5 times in the next year. Do you think by then you'd figure it out? Absolutely. The studio's $500, the assessment's $300, the group coaching is about $500, and tonight I put together something I thought would be fun. I gave the coaching away for free. So if you want to have the assessment, you want to have the material in the studio, you get to come to the coaching for free for a year. If that would be of value, if you're in a position to do that. Don't use mortgage money to do this. I don't want the mortgage money. But if you really want to get serious, it'll be fun spending time with you. Last and in closing, when Og was writing the 10 scrolls in scroll 9, after he's told us all these wonderful principles, he opens it up with this: my dreams are worthless. That could take your breath away. My plans are dust. My goals are impossible. All are of no value unless they're followed by action. Only action determines my value in the marketplace. That's not only the market's value of me, but it's my value of me in the market too. To increase my value, for me too, this is healing self-esteem, I must increase my actions. I will walk where the failure fears to walk. I will talk when the failure remains silent. I will work when the failure seeks rest. That's powerful. I'll call on 10 who can buy my goods while the failure makes grand plans to call on 1. I'll say it's done before the failure says it is too late. I will act now. If I can be of service to you in any way, I would love to. Whatever you do, don't go home tonight and be the same on Monday. We don't have time. It is time to act. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.